This one's for everybody who's actually read the Constitution, our Bill of Rights, our Declaration of Independence. If you haven't read it, go ahead and pause this and go read those, please. If you haven't taken civics in a while, I would advise you to brush up on your civics. If you haven't read the Constitution, or you need more in-depth understanding of it and just feeling like if you read it, it's not enough, Harvard actually has a good online free course on the U.S. Constitution. Go ahead and check that out. I'm going to say this. The people in this Republican regime, for the most part, like all of them, they are unindicted criminals. They are corrupt. They are failing to do their duties. They have failed in what they're sworn to do when they're sworn in, when they take their oath. That includes the civil officers and the elected leaders. Like, our Constitution says the remedy for what we're seeing this criminal regime do is Article 2, Section 4. We absolutely have evidence of high crimes and misdemeanors. There's a ton of them. I don't care if you don't believe me. If you don't believe me, you have a problem with facts and your information sources. These are provable things. There's too long of a list. I'm not going to go there right now. The general point is this. This regime must be removed. The fact that the Republicans have not tells me that they are complicit. There are some who may be waking up to the fact that they can no longer hitch their wagons to Donald J. Trump. They should be moving to impeach. They only need so many in the House and in the Senate. At a minimum, they should be removing Donald J. Trump using the 25th Amendment. I don't know if that's going to happen. For people who understand the law, understand how government is supposed to work, I don't care if you're going to sit there and try to tell me that our Constitution no longer exists. That is not a fact. That's simply not a fact, and I don't care. We need to prepare for midterms. We need to be putting so much pressure to stop what this regime is doing. There are so many things that I have a problem with, that we are at a breaking point. Our financial situation in this country is about to be turned completely around on us. Like, the provocations with Greenland and basically abandoning NATO could very well result in other countries just selling the U.S. bonds, just offloading them. If they sell off our debt, which could be a massive hit to our economy, send inflation through the roof, because the value of the dollar would drop to practically zero in moments. If you don't understand how bad this is, you have the illegal actions by ICE, DHS, and CBP, Customs and Border Patrol, and HSI. Again, I don't care if you buy the bullshit that these people are selling you. Greg Bovino and Tom Homan and Kristi Noem and Stephen Miller, any of these people, they are lying. They've been caught lying in courts. They're caught lying when we have the video from multiple angles. A woman was murdered in cold blood. It was clear as day. Anybody who argues otherwise is lying. They're un-American. They're a traitor. You should not be defending criminal behavior that is completely unwarranted. It completely violates procedure. Cops have come out and said, you don't stand in front of a fucking car and you don't fire into a car. There was no reason to do that. There was no threat to the officer, who's not authorized at all to instruct citizens of the United States. ICE has no jurisdiction on U.S. citizens. None. They don't. What's happening to people are clear violations of constitutional rights. We all have due process rights. What they're doing to protesters, and there's nothing wrong with protesting. It is a constitutional right to address grievances with our government. The problem is what ICE has done, what CBP has done. They have unlawfully detained people, kidnapped people, human trafficked people, renditioned them to concentration camps. They have sold them for slave labor, kept them for illegal slave labor. They've sold them off for slave labor in places like Sudan. People have died in ICE custody. People get disappeared. If people don't get their name when they're taken, we don't find them again. Like, this is worse than Nazi Germany. And I'm not exaggerating, not even slightly. The tools being used right now are the same ones that IDF used against people in Gaza. That was a genocide. That's an ethnic cleansing. It's the same exact thing here. We have eugenics happening here with the fascists in charge using their little Nazi secret police Gestapo force. It is not normal to have masked officers who refuse to identify themselves. It is not normal for people to take people away without actually having a judicial warrant. You cannot do that. You cannot, they are not permitted to take someone and kidnap them. It is kidnapping if it is done unlawfully. And again, I don't care about your opinion. I don't. People were sent to CCOT in other places illegally. It was proven in court. They have lost so many court battles. Bovino has been caught being a proven liar. Kristi Noem in hearings has been caught being a proven liar. Stephen Miller, J.D. Vance, they're both full of shit on the law. These people do not have absolute immunity. They have some version of qualified immunity, but that is only when they are actually acting lawfully, and they don't. This is not about immigration enforcement. It is not. It is intimidation. It is setting up a paramilitary force that answers only to Donald J. Trump, and they're treating, J.D. Vance is trying to treat this as if they have the same immunity as Trump does, which is also bullshit, because Trump is only covered when he is doing things with the lawful that he has as president, and he hasn't been. He has done a whole mess of corrupt shit. I think there's clear evidence that he's a traitor and he's committed treason. Jack Smith can attest to that. He's supposed to he's going to be doing that tomorrow in a public hearing. He's going to reveal a whole mess of evidence. But that's that old stuff. That's not even covering what's been going on. So I want people to stand up. I want people to treat this government as if it's illegitimate. I want you to be ungovernable. I want you to get out there and make good trouble. Be careful. Make measured decisions. People should be doing nonviolent protests. That does not just mean that we blow whistles. That does not just mean that we give these people space to do crimes in our communities. We stand up for each other and we make good trouble. You take that as far as you want to. Be careful. Recognize that if you are going to be disruptive, if you're going to be doing anything that ISIS vehicles or ISIS persons, your choices. I'm not encouraging anybody to do anything that them at risk. Everybody takes measured risks in this kind of, but the farther this progresses, the harder it's going to be. The general rule of thumb is we are never more powerful than we are right now, and we will lose power as this progresses. If we do not step back or step up, it will get harder and it will get worse and more people will be hurt. This regime is unpopular around the world. I don't think this regime has anywhere near as much support as what it looks like online and what it looks like in the polls. I don't buy the polls. I think the polls are being gamed. And I do also want to say this. The moderates are a fucking problem. They're just as bad as the fascists, if not worse. People like Cory Booker, people like Gavin Newsom, people that are going to sit there and try to act like they're saying something when they're not. People that are going to sit there like Kamala Harris, same problem. I'm sorry, libs, you guys are a big part of the problem. You guys keep getting in the way of the people that you should be listening to and the people that you should be looking up to and you should be supporting leading this effort. People that are social, democratic socialists, progressives, people that are further left, even socialists. You should be getting behind them because these people are the ones that actually answer the needs of the people. If we do not improve the material conditions for people, you will get a fascist again, and the fascist will be worse next time because the system has been catastrophically damaged. It is not time for people to sit there and try to maintain the status quo that is so goddamn broken and will not satisfy anybody, and it just creates a space for someone worse. That is why I say you cannot support these corporate establishment Democrats. People like, in the vein of Hillary Clinton, in the vein of Debbie Wasserman Schultz, or any of these other that were handled by AIPAC. People need to be oppositional to the Epstein class. They need to be oppositional to the very powerful corporations. They need to basically have the position of, listen, I don't see the Republican Party as a legitimate party anymore when they have fully revealed themselves as the enemy of the people. They are domestic terrorists. ICE are domestic terrorists. Kristi Noem, Stephen Miller, Tom Homan, Donald J. Trump, J.D. Vance, who am I missing? Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino. This whole goddamn regime, they are domestic terrorists. They are a threat to the American people. They are fascists. But don't kid yourselves. Chuck Schumer, also a fucking problem. Hakeem Jeffries, also a fucking problem. Gavin Newsom, same. That turd caved. Like he had Ben Shapiro on his show, and he just caves about the genocide in Gaza. He fought against, or he's currently fighting against the one-time wealth tax on billionaires. He's not on our side. He went and cleaned out homeless camps in California, and he threw away their shit. That is complete violation of people's rights. I don't care what the fucking court said. I don't care. I care about just laws. He threw trans people under the bus. We need people that stand 10 toes down for human rights. And we need people that actually talk about amnesty. Amnesty. Immigrants should not be, like, people that have not committed violent crimes in this country, that are not in the system for that kind of stuff. Like, we can talk about people that have committed violent crimes. I don't have a really much issue with people facing deportation if that's the case. I mean, you can make a debate about that. It depends on the situation, because some people might have committed a violent crime, self-defense, and that stuff does happen. Like, sorry, but I have the perspective. Like, my works for used to work for the New York State Division of Prevention of Domestic Violence. I know there's been plenty of women that have been in situations where the way that they had to defend themselves is something that people would not look favorably at. Others might understand because of that situation. So self-defense, believe in self-defense. So I don't have like a full, use our judgment on that kind of stuff. I don't like the idea of deporting people, but if the circumstances fit, then that's what happens. But it should be humane. We should have better partnerships with our, like neighbors, countries. People would be going back to. It should be done in a humane way. But the other people should be granted amnesty, because the problem is bureaucracy. The problem is racism in this country. The problem is our foreign policies have screwed up so many other nations, and that's why people are coming here. People don't just leave their home and risk it all and spend a ton of money just for funsies. They leave because their country was ruined by U.S. foreign policy, by regime change wars, stealing resources, wrecking their economy, fueling cartels, and all that stuff. It's just a fact. That's what's happened over time. So I'm not interested in the moderates. I'm not interested in the blue MAGA assholes. They can come in my comments and I'll just delete them and I'll block them. I don't care. I'm not interested in you. I'm tired of history rhyming and you guys being the problem. You guys claiming that it's the left that's the problem and we won't get out of the way, when you guys keep sliding to the right. No, fuck you. You guys are the reason why we got fascists. You guys insist that we keep voting for the lesser of two evils. You guys insist on us voting for a candidate that was complicit in genocide. You guys insisted on us voting for a candidate that, basically is a shadow of Joe Biden when he was unpopular, and he listened to Joe Biden or their team saying no daylight. Like, no, fuck you. We need people that are going to listen to the people. We need them to be adversarial to the oligarchs, adversarial to the Epstein class, and pro the people. Listen to the people and actually have a real plan to address their needs. You got to tackle basic human rights: the right to land, the right to food, the right to shelter, the right to or free utilities and education and childcare. You do those things, and the people will back you up. And also, we got to go after all these corrupt clowns. We need a system where we go hard after corruption at the top. We cannot have an untouchable class of people like we have now. That can never be allowed to happen again. We need to dive deep into the Epstein files and any other cases like that around the world, or at least in our sphere of influence, whatever that means. We need justice. We need international justice. There shouldn't be anywhere in the world that heinous criminals that hurt children, that ruin lives, that, destroy businesses, that poison the people, that give us cancer, all that stuff. These people cannot flout the law. They cannot just take all the money and run. No, fuck you. We literally can't have people that want to end humanity and life on Earth because they want to create some kind of super, which I'm not even convinced that's possible. I think it's bullshit. But you have to understand who the enemies are. It's the fascists. Moderates are a problem. The Epstein class is the problem, the Republican Party, and way too much of the Democratic Party. We need to clean house in the Democratic Party. I mean, honestly, if it was possible, I don't know how he would do it, but we need to get money out of politics, and I would say abolish them, have some kind of different system. And we need to protect ourselves from the harms that this system has produced, which, you know, you can go back to the original construction of our documents, which were written by people that owned slaves and committed genocide. And we're perfectly fine with or a system that keeps a lot of people at the bottom. We need a system that's built for all of us, and it respects sovereignty of other, and it abandons the idea that makes right, because it doesn't. We need collectivism, we need collaboration, we need good partnerships, we need diplomacy, we need to do fair trade. I don't think free trade is necessarily the way to go. Fair trade works. Abolish capitalism, or at least the form, like, markets are fine, capitalism sucks. And honestly, you know, if you're not considered a threat to this current government, I worry about you, to be honest. I do. It sounds weird to say that, but it's true. All right, you guys take care. Hit all the buttons, do all the things. Thank you. Leave comments. You know, please have a look at my other content. I'm getting pretty squashed in the algorithm right now. It's hard to get my voice out there. All right, I love you guys. Stay strong. Remember, ask yourself, what are you willing to risk for your people? Because you're gonna meet that challenge at some point. Better answer that question now. None of us are free unless we're all free, and none of us are alone. We all move as one. Solidarity, power to the people. Oh yeah, by the way, look up your local chapter of the BPP, Black Panther Party. There's chapters for white, there's chapters for Latino folks, there's chapters for black folks. It's about it's about using your Second Amendment to defend your communities, preferably non-violently. But if it comes down to, folks, we may have a situation where we have to defend ourselves with arms. I don't want that. I'd rather be through peaceful means. And you know, one of the old members of the Black Panther Party said today in a video, a simple act that we can do is reach out to our military folk and our police folk and just ask them how they're, let them know that people are thinking about them, hope they're doing okay. Ask questions, let them know that they're part of the community, and don't involve politics. Just check in on them. I thought that was an interesting point, because I know there's been a lot of history with adversarial relationships with people with the authority to hurt their community members, and it's a real question about how much they protect us. But for the ones that do, it's a good thing, right? We got to look out for each other, and that means everybody. So that's kind of like a real rainbow coalition. I don't know. What do you guys think? I think, you know, I like that I've been in the movement for longer than I have. That sounds weird. I mean, always for the people, always. I put my life on the line as a measure of that, and I still speak up, put myself at risk. And I'm trying to do the right thing for people in my community, always. All right, guys, take care of yourselves.